what does every video person say they want also? They want control of that. Graphic. It's a video element. It's not a lighting thing.
If it's on stage, it's a scenic element.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gear Follows Vision podcast. My name is Deron. We're here to talk about how your church's audio, video, and lighting systems should serve your church's ministry and not the other way around. Today we've got Seth Thiesen back in the house. Welcome back again, Seth.
Thanks for having me.
Pumped to talk with you. Man, I'm excited. You just finished out some pretty rad projects in a particular corner of the United States, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yep.
I know it was an area of the country you really wanted to visit when you first came to Summit. Like,
yeah.
Man, I want to spend January.
Yep. I kept looking for Lane Kiffin. Couldn't find him.
Ah, man. I guess
he's there somewhere.
He is in there somewhere.
Maybe.
Well, man, you got some projects finished there that were kind of big video systems on a campus. And what I want to ask you about today is like, what were some of the things that you and the team worked through on the volunteer workflow side? And so let's start in with the video system and say, man, just talk to us like the video suite. I feel like you can arrange a video suite a lot of different ways. You can put the furniture in different positions. Like, feels very, choose your own adventure for most churches when it comes to that. But so talk to me, like, what are some of the reasons they have certain positions? What's the layout look like? Let's just start there.
Yeah. So it was a large, like Deron said, a large video project. And part of it was upgrading their control room. Building's been around for almost 15 years or so, I think it was. And so 15-year-old technology.
S-video, or were they?
It was 1080i, so everything was SDI, but they also had like component, tons of component converters. This was the era where it was still, not everything was still SDI. So there was composite, component, we took out 6 racks and went back in with 5.
Okay.
So there was a lot of stuff that we did. But one of the big things that we kind of went back and forth on a lot was their control room layout.
Okay.
So thinking through, okay, what's the volunteer experience? Mm-hmm. How do they operate on Sunday? What have they done in the past? Because sometimes it's like you just adopt a workflow because that's just what you do.
Right.
But then to kind of take a step back, blow it up potentially, and say, how can we make this better?
Right. Because the original team from the 15-year ago install has changed completely, right?
There's one of the guys that's been there for 22 years.
Oh, amazing.
But then
that's awesome.
Been at the church for 22 years.
Cool.
And but then there's, newer production guys.
Yeah.
You got newer volunteers. And so so it's just, okay, well, how can we make this how can we make this awesome?
Ground up, let's rethink it.
So it's very common of what you see. It kind of, we did 2 rows of furniture. Okay. And on the front row, we've got a shading position. Mm-hmm. And so some of the things that, is common, but maybe not be common is how is the operator looking at cameras? Mm-hmm. How do they recall cameras? Mm-hmm. So they had, the shading panels have joysticks on them, and we had it wired up to where when you punch down on the joystick, it pulls that camera up right in front of you.
Nice.
And then...
Now, was it on a multi-view in front of them? Was it on a QC monitor? What did that look like?
It was on a QC monitor. Okay. So, and we went with some Lilliput monitors and standardized those, at a lot of the key positions.
Okay.
So that way, everyone had the same source of truth. So you couldn't be like, hey, that camera shot's bright, but it's your monitor.
Right.
Is someone turned up the brightness or, whatever it was. So everyone kind of has that same reference point.
Cool.
And then moving down the row was our...
we're going right or left. So
we're started at the far right.
Far right, okay.
Directions are hard sometimes.
Stage right.
Yes.
Okay.
And then moving down is our switcher panel.
Okay.
So kind of church world seems to have adopted the term switcher for that position. Broadcast, that's considered your TD. Mm-hmm. But so that's
technical director.
Yep. So that position there. And so for Healing Place, their TD is also calling cameras. They're the ones that are talking to the cameras, giving them direction and sometimes that's a separate position.
Yeah.
Someone who's just focused on cameras and telling the TD what they want.
Gotcha.
And then just to the left of that is kind of like an engineering position to where they are able to look at, video monitors with a rasterizer output. And so we can look at the quality of the video signal, see audio meters, make judgment calls, QC as needed.
Are they managing the final output, like to the stream and whatnot, through like a master control, or are they just doing QC?
That position's a little bit going to evolve because it was like something that we taught. It was a position that they don't currently have someone sitting in all the time.
Oh, sure.
But this is something that, as in our conversations of like, yes, we want to, have someone who's kind of a more, monitoring outputs.
Yeah. Just super useful, like especially with all the different kinds of things that go in and through the video system. Having somebody actually dedicated to QCing it is critical.
Yes.
So
and so I think one thing that we kind of like jumped over, we kind of jumped in the furniture, but the thing that's also very important for the volunteer or end user experience is our monitor wall. And so in front of those 2 rows of desks, we had 8 TVs on the wall. And so we built out, views to look at different camera shots, different feeds. And one of the great things about the system that we put in, it's a router from Ross Video. And we can look at, okay, what is the output of this video signal? So we can look at, like, we can put a window on there that shows this is what we're sending to our Resi encoder with audio meters. So we have confidence that what signal's going there and is there audio on it?
Yeah.
And so those are little things that, sometimes aren't always common, depending on your system and what you're doing. But it for me, it gives me peace of mind to know, like, yep, the video signal's there.
Right.
You could take it one step further and then do a loop back out. But to me, I like just knowing what I'm sending to those places.
For sure. So go back to this. I think it's great. The monitor wall. So we've got this front row. So the TDQC, like, talk about what's the difference between that role and your shading position, right? Because they're both doing a version of QC.
Yes. So our shading QC, and this is, I'm not going to say this is a blanket statement, but
no, go ahead.
When I have worked with camera shaders in the volunteer application, we're wanting them just to adjust exposure. So our CCUs, sometimes those have a lot more controls. You can start adjusting color, you can start, doing other things, but really just trying to set them up for success to say, like, the win of this role is to make sure exposure is even, across all the cameras.
Right.
So that's what we're kind of training on. So they're just concerned about the camera exposure and bouncing through, all those cameras and making sure that, it's not too dark, it's not too bright, and it looks good.
And that's assuming like color is either being managed upstream in a LUT or downstream in a LUT or inside the camera. Like the color is dialed ahead of time.
Yes.
And then they're just managing the exposure and they're getting an IRE number to hit.
Correct. And then on the other end of the row, where kind of we're, this TD engineer position, they're more like monitoring multiple outputs or inputs to the video system to make sure that with accuracy, what is going to those destinations, what the source is coming in, that, or is there audio on it? No, there's not. Or is there supposed to be there, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They get to kind of be they can be an additional checkpoint or troubleshoot if there's something not working. And that way you're not leaning over someone's shoulder. It's kind of a dedicated spot.
Right.
And so along those lines, and was doing KVM systems. So we had 6 user stations in the control room. Okay. And so what that allows us to do is from those user stations is pull up any of the computers that we have in the rack room. And so that again allows you to troubleshoot and not like pop over someone's shoulder and, push a volunteer out of the way and jump on a computer real quick.
Right.
And it's great for training too, because they can be in front of a user station and, multiple people can watch the same computer if they need to.
Yeah. So the TD had one of those KVM stations.
Correct.
So he could pop around, and maybe the way I can also think about it and help volunteers who are, the people at home is, you got your TD who's making sure the signal is there with the right quality. They're not making any artistic decisions.
Correct.
Right. They're not doing any color, all that can happen at the shading station. If they want to change the aperture and bring something more in focus or out of focus, right? Like they do that shading, and the TD is just saying, I'm just making sure all of the X's are going to the Y's.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. But they've got a KVM. Did the shading station have a KVM?
No.
Right. Because they just need the ROPs with their QC monitor. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And then kind of then jump into the back row is there's 2 graphics operators, kind of a content graphics producer that's helping bring in content specific to online or, the content specific to the room. Because, a lot of times it's like, we're going to play this welcome video online, but we don't want that to play in the room. So that's got to come from 2 different sources.
Yeah.
And, if they want to bring in a different lower third online, so they kind of do that. But then there's another person that kind of the online graphics is also helping set cues in Resi.
Okay.
So they've got to, play a pre-roll video on one computer. And then at some point they're going to switch to the Resi computer and set cues for the campuses that are receiving the message.
So is that content producer? Are they just focused on graphics, or is it the whole online experience? Like, who's triggering that live in the switcher?
So the TD the
front row TD is doing that.
The front row TD does it, but they'll tell the front row TV, like TD, hey, we've got a lower third coming in.
Okay.
And so they're responsible for bringing that in.
Okay. That's cool. So a lot to communication happening.
Happening,
okay.
Which is, that's where a great comm system comes into play, to where you can, nowadays it's easy to bring audio into comm. It used to not be so easy, but with like Dante and Maddie, we can do those things.
Yeah, a lot easier than some of the homebrew stuff.
Yes.
was done previously.
Yeah. And so what we did is we were bringing the output of the Resi encoder or decoder, the Resi decoder via Dante into comm. So the person who's setting cues.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
For the campuses, for that playback, they only have to, they keep their comm headset on and they can hit a button that says, I forgot what we labeled it, but basically like Resi, and they can turn it on and off. And so they can
listen to it.
They can listen to it and still stay engaged, as opposed to taking their headset off, put a set of headphones on.
Yep, that's good.
So these are things that we're like, as we're thinking through, okay, what's that volunteer experience? What's that end user experience? And how can we, make that better?
Yeah.
They were just like, oh my gosh, because that's what they'd been doing before. They would take one set of headphones off, put another set on.
Was this Matrix intercom or what
it was a ClearComm Matrix.
Cool.
So
that's again, how you're bringing stuff in. And then give us a high level overview of that, of what's the difference between Matrix and then what most folks have, that 4-channel party line.
Yeah. So, and we've kind of got a little bit of that hybrid of that digital party line, in between, but
True.
That Matrix intercom allows for point-to-point communication. So I can talk direct, that back row content producer can give a cue to the video director or the TD in the front row and say, hey, we've got a lower third coming in. Well, on a party line, everyone's going to hear that.
It's super annoying.
And there can be a lot of chatter.
Yeah.
And so this allows for clear and direct communication to the people that need that information. So we don't have to broadcast to everyone.
Yep.
And then same thing for that TD who's talking to the cameras. Cameras are the only people that are, the LD out at front of house doesn't have to listen to the video director or TD talk to the cameras the whole time.
Are you speaking from trauma experience?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Having been on party lines in the past when it's, an all skate,
all skate.
Communication gets a little
way too young for that. They don't know what an all skate is.
Well, Google it. Ask ChatGPT to create you an all skate image. See what it does. I don't know.
Gotcha. So you created a point-to-point from that Dante or Maddie input. That's the Resi encoder coming back into the intercom.
Yep.
And so they can just, open up a point-to-point, but they can hear that audio coming in and turn it off.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And we're doing the same thing with, it's not uncommon to see this, but to be able to talk to the music director on stage, hear the music director, talk to production, and give them a heads up of, hey, we're gonna go back into this song, and we're gonna start with the chorus. So that sets your graphics operator up to be ready to go, and that's a huge win that you can do.
Well, and with that too, like I think about all of the video systems and the people around the country on party lines who are hearing that click and guide come into the entire analog party line system. Like that could just go to your graphics person, your lyrics person, and they can just hear guide or the MD, which is awesome for them to be able to follow along and not have to really, hear. Everyone doesn't have to hear it, one, but two, then you can get really specific information going back.
Absolutely. And then you've got volume control too of those. And so you can just a little bit of guide, or you can turn it down or just turn it off.
I wonder if any graphics operators like turn up just the track BGVs, right? Because those are always on time and in the right spot. Anyway, I don't know. That's curiosity of mine. Okay, so the Matrix intercom's unlocking a lot there, and that's a really cool volunteer workflow thing to think about, right? So they have an online graphics lower thirds. Are they doing full screen graphics on the other one?
It varies.
Oh, okay.
And so it depends on what it, a lot of times it's kind of what the pastor, what he's doing. If he's bringing in a picture, at one point we had, a full screen picture come in, and they wanted that to go to the screens and online.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is that, okay. So they have those two graphic machines, and then you said that content producer, but for the graphics, are they using ProPresenter like most
They're
folks?
using ProPresenter. Yep.
That makes sense. Did they look at like expression or anything like that?
We didn't, as a part of this project, and some of that's just, the workflows that they're comfortable with. The stage display output that's one of those things that like expression's great. And I've actually, installed one at one of my past jobs, and, it's got a lot of great features, but that is the one thing I think is in church world that we all love that just, and Ross, I don't know, there may be an option to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think if you get deep into the weeds,
it's complex. If you need really incredible graphics flying around, like Expression can do that a lot better than ProPresenter. It also doesn't release with a bug every time, so that's kind of helpful. But at the same point, I think you're right. I think even the Expression we've looked at for churches, they've still done ProPresenter for lyrics for stage display. It's so easy.
Well, the library, the song library management, it's a win.
Okay. That makes sense. So those is that the three positions in the back row then is the two graphics plus the content producer?
And then, I guess there's three CGs on the back row technically.
Okay.
So CG1, CG2, CG3.
Yep.
And then that graphics producer. And CG3 bounces between the Resi decoder and CG3.
Gotcha. Okay. What are they doing? I mean, are they doing, I don't know, I'll date myself, jump backs, on an LED screen somewhere? Like, where's that content coming
That's coming from a Resolume server. So they've got Resolume running, and lighting controls that. So that way that's integrated.
That's controversial.
What?
Lighting control Resolume?
Absolutely. No,
should it?
I think it should. Well, I think this is my personal take is I love controlling the visuals from a lighting console. Because
tell us why.
The timing and the repeatability is there.
Yeah. Now, would you typically time code it? Is that partly why? Or
no, I mean, it's manually triggered cues, but it's built into like when I go to chorus, the chorus cue, I want to know that this visual is going to go and the lighting is going to, be tied into that visual look.
And what does every video person say they want also? They want control of that graphic. It's a video element. It's not a lighting thing.
If it's on stage, it's a scenic element.
Okay. All right. We're going to get the most comments ever on that. That's going to be great. But let me go back to this. Like Resolume, I know a lot of churches use it, and it's pretty dang powerful.
Yes.
Especially for the feature set.
Yes.
I think the one feature that I would encourage people to avoid like the plague is that video input side of it.
Absolutely.
Please don't use it for pipping your cameras onto a screen ever. But other than that, great piece of software.
Yeah. And so because of that, those limitations, they've got a large LED screen on the back of the stage. And so we used a product from Ross called Mosaic. And so we're feeding, inputs from Resolume into that, multiple inputs from Resolume. And then we can also then put a camera shot, or we can, put another video feed and have high quality playback there without latency or frame drops.
Yeah. Describe Mosaic, because like that name doesn't accurately describe what it does.
Yeah. It is Ross's version of a multi-output video processor.
Okay.
So we can basically, that uses, in switcher language, it uses mini-me's, what they call mini-me's. So your preview program bus, but a version of that. And then you can tile the outputs of the mini-me's together.
Okay.
So
To control a really big
to
set
control
of images.
you could do, they have 6 mini-me's. So you could do 6 UHD rasters across, or you could do a 2x3 grid, or a 3x2 grid, or a 4x4 grid.
And how many, like in the typical Carbonite workflow, it's kind of limited on keys. Like, do you have 2 keys in per?
You have 4 keys
4 keys per mini ME.
per mini ME.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And so right now we're only using 2 outputs,
Okay.
but it gives them the flexibility as they reconfigure their LED screen.
Yeah.
We can change the layout and the presets of what sources we're recalling to it.
Yeah. I love that workflow. It's something we've grown a lot in the last 5 to 6 years, right? Is having, I call it a screen manager.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Video processor unit works just as good, but like not putting all of that effort into, again, the TD inside the room, having to also manage all these mini MEs with different content going places. Like the Carbonite can send commands to the Mosaic,
Correct.
right? So that it will switch what's going where, right? But you don't have to manage it like it's another aux out or something on the Carbonite.
Yeah.
Just killer.
Yeah. It's just, we're defining presets and recalls through custom controls, and that will update what is, what we're seeing. And there is because people that have used Resolume know that it can sometimes crash.
No.
No,
If
never.
you put the wrong codec in, it plays it every time.
Yes.
It's fine.
They do have a backup Resolume machine.
Oh,
so
crazy.
That also goes into the Mosaic. So we built a custom control to Resolume backup, and
Nice.
so it's like if their primary machine failed, they hit a button and their backup is running.
Nice. Now, so both of those are sitting in front of house, or are those on KVMs?
Those are on KVM as well. So that way, that can live in the back in our rack room.
Yep.
They call their room TOC, Technical Operations Center.
That sounds awesome.
So the TOC.
The talk.
So all those computers live in a rack, and it helps with wiring, signal flow of, we're limited on cable distance with when we're 12G.
Yeah. Significantly.
And this is a very large facility. Our runs to front of house are over 200 feet. And so to limit the amount of fiber paths that we need from front of house to the back, we decided to put all that. And so there's a KVM station that the lighting director can pull up his Resolume machines, look at primary, look at backup. That's
great.
But that way our video is all contained to the TOC.
Okay, so detailed question on the Resolume. So with that backup machine, is it automatically following?
It is.
Oh, cool.
They've set it up to where when they trigger the primary, it triggers both machines at the same time. So visuals are synced between that.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know Resolume had that feature, to be honest with you. So that's sick. So talk to me about front of house. I think there's a couple things there that we did as well for the video system.
So again, we put another KVM station, user station out at front of house.
Okay.
Actually 2, one kind of dedicated for the lighting as they can monitor their Resolume computer.
Sure.
The second is for, kind of your service director. So one advantage with the KVM is kind of, you can do a monitor to where my keyboard and mouse are deactivated, but I can watch what the graphics operator is doing. So I can follow along and make sure that, graphics are, going to be ready, or, we're getting ready to put the right slide up. So that helps give them confidence.
Yep.
And then there's a multi-view out at front of house as well.
Cool.
So similar to in the control room where we're looking at different images on those 8 TVs, we kind of built a dedicated one for
Yeah.
the producer,
Cool.
service director. So that way it's giving them the things that are important for them to watch.
Sure.
Like the stage display, the confidence monitors, they are behind those confidence monitors.
Right.
So this,
I need to see that.
so this gives them the ability to see, okay, what video signal are we sending to the confidence monitor? You know, we're not necessarily able to see the confidence monitor directly, but we at least have a confidence of, hey, we're sending the right signal there.
Yeah.
And then one of the other things that we put on that multi-view out there is we did a handful of what we call eye in the sky cameras.
Okay.
So just small Marshall video cameras, you know, distributed in very specific locations. So that helps the service director see, all right, is the band, you know, is the keys player that's supposed to get out there and, you know, play, is he sleeping in the green room? You know, so I can send someone to go wake him up.
Let's just say
That's never happened. And then there's a view of the stage. So the guy that's mixing audio for online, he likes to watch that view. He likes to see just a wide shot of the stage.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so we've got just distributed, or where you can see who's in the control room.
Yeah.
And so that way it's like, hey, we're getting ready to start service, but again, no one's in the control room.
Right. It's going to be hard to start service.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to start service.
Actually, the lighting guy can trigger the visuals. So.
Yeah, exactly. But that countdown video, that's got to roll.
Ah, that's true. Dang.
So we've got a series of those eye in the skies
Cool.
around to just help give confidence
Yeah.
of, you know, people in position.
Now, did you do any QC monitors out at front of house?
There's the same monitor that we put at the shading station at lighting. So our lighting director can see with confidence of like, okay, we're matching, you know, matching images there. And so that way, you know, they can adjust, you know, their key light level as they need to. And they can make sure that like, all right, is there enough light on stage? Do I need to turn some lights up?
Is it smooth and even?
Is it smooth and even? Like, or is the LED screen too bright behind them? Like make all those kind of judgment calls on how everyone else is seeing this image.
Yeah, that's good. So let me pivot for a second, because I think something we talked about with Matt Strong on one of our recent episodes was the jump from HD 3G to UHD has a lot of implications. So if you haven't seen that episode, go check that out, because there's a lot there. But one thing specifically I'd love for you to talk about is, you know, 12G is significantly more data to record, and I know that was something you guys navigated too. So talk about kind of what the problem is, and then how we're addressing it.
Yeah. So going, you know, that's another, you know, we talked earlier, just touched a little bit about the distance limitations of UHD. But it's not a limitation, but it's a
Feature.
It's a feature, if you will, is that storage. We were going from 1080i to UHD. So that is a data rate of 1.5 gigabits to 12 gigabits.
It's slightly more.
8 times the amount of data storage.
It's good math.
So that realization of like, oh, you know, we used to be able to record, you know, a service or, you know, upload to YouTube. It was only 4 gigs, you know, after we did it. Now it's 32. It's going to be 32 gigs.
I'll go over to that DSL modem. It's going to be great.
So it's there's some, and, you know, another thing was getting capture into their ingest servers. We were using, you know, Blackmagic 8K Duo going through Sonnet Thunderbolt chassis. And, you know, we had 3 records, 3 feeds going into their ingest server. And the second we added the 4th, it stopped working. And they were, you know, we were hitting the limitation of Thunderbolt 3.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they were supposed to be Thunderbolt 4. They were brand new.
Oh.
And so, and they said Thunderbolt 4 on it, but somewhere we were hitting the Thunderbolt 3 limitation.
Classic.
So that's another thing is like, well, that's a lot of data to record.
Yeah. So you're hitting this massive data limitation, right? Like, again, trying to get 32 gigs up to YouTube, like, and recording and all that space. Like, did they try to ISO record every camera? Like, what were they attempting to do?
Well, they are set up. We've got 12 channels of record.
Wow.
With 3 of the 8K Blackmagic recorders. So you can do 4 inputs on each one of those. So up to 12 channels of record. So we can record programs, ISOs, lots of options.
I mean, I'm doing the math though. If the single stream up to YouTube is a 32 gig file, I'm recording that times 12.
But that's after compression. After compression. Because if we're recording ProRes, ProRes Lite, thankfully you can record, H.264 or H.265 on those. Mm-hmm. So that can help you. But if you want uncompressed, it starts adding up really quickly. So
yeah. And doing that quantity, I know from previous that like they had their service, they were really happy with the ingest service, so we didn't supply that. But like getting a quantity of 12 recorded nowadays is actually pretty challenging. Like to do it cost effectively. There are plenty of things that can do it at that 50 to 100K price point.
Yeah.
But like getting it into like the $10,000 to $20,000 price point, it's really tough. And I think that's again one of those hidden or not commonly talked about problems with opportunities with going to 4K. Is just like, man, how do we record all this information? I think the other question the churches need to ask is, do we need to record all this information? Do you need 12 ISOs? I don't know.
No,
I can't answer that for you.
On a weekly basis, no. But if, for a large event, if you're doing an album recording and you're bringing in extra cameras, they've got 6 cameras was a part of this upgrade. But if they wanted to add in, 6 more or even 3 more, they've got the ability to capture that and turn that around. But yeah, it is there is a lot of well, even a 2 terabyte drive going into those Blackmagic recorders, that's, at 4 records, we're not getting 2 hours out of that. I don't know what it is, but we're going to eat it up quick.
I'm imagining you remember the old Lacey drives?
Yes. You
would just go and buy, I'm imagining just stacks and stacks of those. But
yes,
that's still probably only like 10 minutes of content. So, well, Seth, thanks for helping us understand a little bit of that. We start with the volunteer workflow and understanding how this has been designed with those volunteers in mind. Like, what are the problems that they were having, right? And you talked about, the audio getting back to the CG machines. You talked about the shading station being able to see a nice QC monitor and having those around the facility, right? That's all solving real world problems for people, right? So, yeah, thanks for joining us. And thanks for joining us online. And we'd love for you to check out that other episode with Matt Strong a few times ago, talking about some of the limitations and challenges around 4K. Not that we don't think it's a good thing. There are some really great reasons to go to 4K and UHD, but also just some things that you should think about as you're considering it for your church. So we'll see you next time.